It's everyone is enjoying the family festivities, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and little did we know this would be our absolute last Christmas and Thanksgiving in our home.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Cylinder Radio. I'm your host, Will Roosh, educator in Los Angeles, and my city has burned. And people around the country are feeling helpless. They don't know what to do. And I thought it was really important to share stories. So a woman named Sophia reached out to me and told me a story about what happened to her parents' home, her childhood home. So I have on the podcast today, Monique Lafia. Did I say that right, Lafia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Monique Lafia.
Yeah. So Monique is an interior designer who, along with her children, her golden doodle named Bo, which is spelled the same way as my son, and her adoptive pet bunny, lost it all in the Palisades fire. And this was a home that they really cherished for over 20 years. And as an interior designer, I thought that there was a unique perspective here of the value in beauty in design and architecture and everything, and just to have that go up so quickly. I thought this was an opportunity to have a really great conversation, a powerful conversation about what happened, but then also what can be done. So there's ways to reach out to directly help those who are impacted with Monique and her family, but then also her family and community as a whole. So Monique, thank you for jumping in here with me. And I hope to share your story with a lot of people so that they can kind of understand what's going on. So I guess just bring us in first to a little bit of your background. What landed you in Pacific Palisades? What was it like for you in Pacific Palisades, which is just beautiful. We drive through there all the time. My wife would be like, oh my gosh, this is my dream place. It really is just like an incredible community. And I don't know if it'll ever be back. I mean, it won't be back the same way. I don't really know what that'll look like. So can you bring us in a little bit? It's nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you
nice
bring
to
us in
meet you.
a little bit about the history that led up to what happened last week?
Well, last week, my daughter and our golden doodle Bo and her father were going on a walk by Temescal Canyon. So it's about 8:30 in the morning, and they see my daughter smells a little smoke. So, they both noticed that there was a tremendous amount of brush that had not been clear. As you know, Los Angeles had been raining heavily the last 2 years, and my understanding is there have been some major cutbacks with the forestry management. So they're walking there and they're actually seeing some branches that were tied together on a tree. So they're walking, and my daughter smells something, and she attends UC Berkeley. She's getting her PhD in material science and mechanical engineering. So, and she's very aware of the environment. So she calls Palisades Patrol, and a little time goes by, and then they see some police cars come over in that area, and then just a few fire trucks. And that was a very slow process. So it's like, okay, let's just go home, kind of get on with our day. They walk Bo, and we're just proceeding to get on with our day. Our son is also home with us. It's Christmas break. It's everyone is enjoying the family festivities, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and little did we know this would be our absolute last Christmas and Thanksgiving in our home. And part of the Christmas is I've collected over 35 years ornaments on the tree from when they were in preschool, their artwork, things that I've traveled. When we went to Costa Rica, we would get a slog. Everything that I purchased along the way for the tree was something that had a memory, whether when I went to Italy, Assisi, it was like something we shared as a family. So putting up the decorations was something that was an event. It was something that we shared together. And we'd look around and each ornament say, oh, remember the slog we got in Costa Rica? And I tend to buy things that are locally made. It's something where I try to support local artists, local craftspeople. And that's also how I lived as a designer. That was really important to me, to support America, to support the country I was in. And to see that now, I can never recreate that. So it's not something that a fire took away. It took away memories and our livelihood. So we go back home and we're just seeing the news. Okay, evacuation. We start to see what's happening in the highlands. And there have been fires in the past in the highlands. and we see people, cars are backing up, and there's one way in, one way out. And normally, if that happens, the fire in the highlands is contained. So here we are, we're at Temescal, we're across. Our house was on Mount Holyoke. So it was Via de las Olas at the end of the bluff where Gelson's Market is on Sunset. So you would drive to the end, and it's a neighborhood where numerous people at the park, there was wedding proposals. It was to come and watch the sunset. It was heavily impacted during COVID. It's just some respite for the community because it's a public park area that local students just could come and enjoy the scenery. So we're there, and our house was across the street. So we're looking at the map. We're really trusting the evacuation or the map that they're putting out. Well, now we realize that map was hours delayed. So we're around 11, 12 noon. We see some smoke, and now we're trusting the map. So the map is showing that we're relying on is way back in the highlands. Everything. How is it going to jump to Temescal Canyon, over the mountain, over Nolas to our side, which is across the street in the flats? And so we're trusting that. So we're thinking, we have time. We don't hear sirens. No police are coming by. So now it's getting about 3 o'clock. The smoke is coming, and the smoke is getting more intense. So we're like, we should leave. So no one ever knocked on our door. No one ever said it's time to leave. Our neighbors were evacuating, and again, evacuate where? Where?
Yeah.
Where are you
Right.
supposed to go? So
Right.
it wasn't like there was anything on TV from the governor or Mayor Bass saying, okay, these areas evacuate now. You can go to this evacuation center, this, bring this, bring this. It was nothing. It was just Gavin Newsom is there saying, if you're told to evacuate for your safety, for your life. But there was no plan. So that left us where? Where do we go? Who do we ask? And also remember, the roads now are blocked. So we're limited to access to the freeway. We're limited to turning left, turning right. So it's getting close to 4 o'clock, and it's like, we got to go. So we start screaming, it gets hysterical, and it's like we're trying to grab Bo to make sure Bo has something. Rumpus, the bunny. What are we going to do with the bunny? We can't abandon our bunny, our daughter. So I left my house with a pair of jeans on, a t-shirt, and a flannel shirt, and a pair of pajamas. I don't even have my wedding ring. I've lost all my jewelry. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. And my daughter too, over the years, first pair of earrings I bought her, I had the baby boxes where I saved their the vaccination records, their teeth, the first artwork they did, the little sketch, the little drawing. And I can't buy that. I will never be able to replace that. So I'm left with now. So we were able to, getting back to that, to leave. We left our house. And fortunately, my friends and the community have been phenomenal. They've been so wonderful, especially my girlfriends, the network, and our neighbor next door. Just women getting together. It's like in the old days how women would rally around each other, 23 women, stay here, stay here. So we finally get to my friend's house on La Mesa in Santa Monica that I played tennis with. And she's so gracious. She let us in. And of course, they're coming in, and I have this box. So they think the box is a cat. I'm like, it's a rabbit. So it was like the whole thing. It's like one thing they think I'm coming, but it's like I've got this whole entourage, and I'm just having withdrawals that I don't have my baby boxes and all those memories that I've been holding on to for 25 years, some things 35 years, my dear life. That it's, as a designer, it's my soul. It's things that I've accumulated. It's the memory of that time in Italy as a family, or that time in Costa Rica. It's not big things. It's things that I can't replace. It's things that have that meaning to your soul. Like you look at that little statue, you say, remember when we got that together? Remember when we were here? So it's not, not talking about very expensive things. It's things that have sentimental value that cannot be replaced. They're irreplaceable. And that's the hardest part, one of the many things with this event. So then we managed to evacuate. We get here around 4:30 in La Mesa. And now I'm in La Mesa, Santa Monica, and there was a knock on the door. The police came to their door and said, you need to evacuate. Okay. Where I was in La Mesa. So now I had to shift gears, text another friend. So we stayed with them in Westwood. But the point I'm making is that at least here, I'm at my friend's place, they get a knock on the door. Where we were in Pacific Palisades, nothing. Nothing. I wish someone would have come by and like at noon, look, get out, be prepared. You got to go. Instead, Gavin Newsom is on the TV saying, when they say evacuate, evacuate. But again, where? So it left us as private citizens having to have an incredible amount of resources of where to go, what to do, who do we call, what. Yes, we brought some things, basic things. You have your ID, you have your passports, those, but there was no evacuation plan. And what hurts us the most is they knew these winds were coming. They knew the winds were coming. It was a windstorm. It was a terrible course of events of things that happened, but there was no preparation. The fires break out and scramble, figure out yourself. Where was I supposed to go? I'm seeing on TV the roads are blocked. And my priority was to keep my family together in one vehicle. One, so we left another vehicle there and we left things. It was a choice we had to make. I had to make, do I take my things and risk splitting up the family? Or do I leave my things and stay together as a unit? And I opted to stay together as a unit because there's no way I could have my son, who's 22, driving another car and the roads are blocked. And you follow us where? We didn't even know. And then we hear boom, boom. And we're like, we got to go. We have to go. So we get to my friend's house, then we're moved to Westwood. And then all these evacuate. And then that night, we're watching on the ring. Is our house going to burn? So now we see it's dark, the ambers are coming, and we see it on the ring. And on the ring, I'm not hearing any sirens, any police cars, any fire trucks. On the ring, I'm seeing ambers. And sometimes when you look at the ring at night, you think they're fireflies, whatever those things are at night. So I'm there praying, 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 thinking maybe our street will get lucky. I'm praying for the whole block, the whole neighbor. Maybe we'll get lucky. And later to find out there was no one around. It was hopeless. It was hopeless. So we're watching the ring, and then around 6:10, it goes dead. So it says like, oh, we have an alarm. The explosion happened, or something, a fire, not a fire, but the alarm went off in the master bedroom. And after that, it went dark. So then the next morning, still not knowing what was happening with our house, everything, the fire, as we know, was spreading. And my heart was bleeding for everyone as we saw Pali Elementary on Via de La Paz, their elementary school where I'd been there for 5 years, just it's gone. Now we're seeing Starbucks is gone. We're seeing Cafe Vita, that's been a landmark in the Palisades for over 20. Everybody knows Cafe Vita. And then we start hearing this is gone. And so we're spending the whole night just watching our entire community, the library that we spent so much time at, the public library, to see it just gone. And it's in disbelief. We're watching this and we're thinking, and then Malibu, we spent so much time. Sophie is an equestrian rider. We spent a lot of time in Malibu. I've had a lot of clients in Malibu. And to hear what was happening on PCH was heart wrenching. I mean, just heart wrenching. And of course, the Highlands and worrying about that senior home that's there. I don't know why that was ever built in a high fire zone where people imagine having your parents or loved one in that facility. So it left us just in just utter shock, and also our house. So then now days go by, all these evacuations are coming, these alerts, and just on our phone constantly. Meanwhile, we haven't heard anything about our house. We don't know what's going on. And I'm just haunted by all the things I left behind, all the memories. And I'm still a week later in shock. So here we are. And only because the neighbor was able to get through, and another neighbor waited 4 hours 2 days ago to get police escort to get some video. So they were able to get video of our street. And on Mount Holyoke, my entire street is gone, is gone. So here's a community. We raised our kids in this home, our family. We know the neighbors, everyone around us across the street, the neighbors next door, they have 2 young children. I mean, it's a community where we went through COVID together. So that was 5 years ago. So we've been through so much together. They send them to the public school. We know the public school, Pali Elementary, Marquez, Paul Revere, Pali High. We share this. So, and then to see it now gone, something that it's gone. It's hard to imagine. It's incomprehensible that this would happen in 2025. That and then to hear that Rick Caruso, he was so brilliant, he had his private fire trucks on deck with water. So it's very simple. If someone would have been able to have water, there's no reason why the side our side wasn't saved because it's in the flats. Why would the ABC streets? Why would the elementary school? Why would the library? Why would Ralph's, Gelson's? They're in the flats. There's no fire retardant. There's nothing that, all power should have been on deck, all men on deck. It's a don't sit back. 1,000 of them I heard today was like, don't sit back. This is a crisis, emergency. Everyone on deck in crisis mode to like start saving these homes.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's incomprehensible to me. It's just, as much as we're suffering this intense loss, and then now we've looked at about 10 properties, you have to wrap your head around it. You have to call the DW, call Frontier, call these companies, and they're like, well, what do you want to do with the service? I have no home. I'm homeless. And you're still going to charge me for the service. It's like, what is wrong with you people? Then we go look at some properties, and the next thing we know, it's like, okay, it's 10,000. The realtors, I suggest you offer 3,000 above and offer them $40,000 deposit to try to ensure your application will get looked at or you will have an increased chance. So now, on the top of the suffering, the loss, now, and you're price gouging some of them, and now you're seeing your neighbors. So now you feel really bad, especially if they have small children because they need the elementary school. So all the way around, it is the most. And then FEMA, so far, we've gotten the $770, the Biden aid. Okay. And the insurance companies, thank God we had insurance, but they don't jump and give you any money. So if you don't have stellar credit and if you don't have uh, money that you're taking out of the savings to put down as a deposit on a rental, you'll lose it. So
Oh
you
my
want,
God.
and
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the community, if it wasn't for, we went to this place on Montana, Closet, she turned her store on Montana into a week where the donations were pouring in. This is where the shirt that I have on, they were so gracious. They gave us mouthwash, toothpaste. It was like the whole community had rallied around on Montana and like 12th Street. And it was so welcoming, volunteers and just the community. I have to say, the outpour of love from my friends, the family, the community has been what keeps us going as a family and why I'm talking to you today.
Yeah.
That's what's kept us going. It's a true love of the community and the outpour. And what's difficult is when someone like myself, I worked my whole life, I've never had to ask for any kind of assistance. And now to be the most vulnerable, having to ask is something that when you take pride in providing for your family, you pay your taxes, you pay the DWP, you do everything right,
Yeah.
contributing to the system, to society, and then that no one was there. That part is just makes no sense to me. I appreciate what the firefighters have done. I appreciate the first responders, what everyone has done, but what was happening at that early stage that especially in such a high flammable area as the highlands and the brush maintenance was not serviced in the last 2 years. And my understanding is the reservoir was not filled up as well. So here you have fire hydrants that are empty, hoses are hooking up, firemen, they can't do their job. They can't do their job.
Right.
So it's just such a tragic sequence of events, and we're all suffering on a very deep level. And I just say we're broken. We will forge ahead. It's an incredible community, but it'll never be the same. Never
No.
be. And how will I ever trust? How can I ever trust that if I'm in another emergency, that my community or my government has my back? My government is here with the basic things of protecting. This is what you would expect, law and order and protection. Where is the protection of the people, the community? For a library, for a school, for the ABCs, for Rouse, for Gelson's, for so much to burn an entire community, obliterate it. It just infuriates me, in addition to the deep loss that I'm feeling and my daughter, my son, my husband, Bo. But poor Bo, he's a golden doodle and he's old and he's having to adjust.
Yeah.
It's like our Ronnie's living out of a box. We're trying to make shift with everything, and whatever you had was just non-existent. It will never happen again. And I don't know if I'll ever have a home again. I don't know. I don't know. It's very tragic.
Oh man, there's so much I want to comment on. So when you were talking about like the ornaments on the tree and stuff, my children are young. My oldest is 10. I have a 10, a 7, and a 3, all boys.
Mm,
And they're at that age where you're just trying to bottle it because they grow up so quick,
yes.
and
Yes.
so there's just artwork everywhere. There's like, all of that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Um, I talked a couple nights ago with Eric Weinstein. From time to time, we touch base and talk on the phone, and he reached out and he said, because people were just packing bags. He said, you go through this weird conundrum of, do you pack the valuable stuff, or do you
Mhm.
pack, in his words, the worthless shit that has a lot of value to you?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's because there's an opportunity cost. There's only so much room. What do you take? But you were in a situation where you didn't even have like the time to even do that. Like, it wasn't like, if there's a silver lining to this for people now, is like everyone in LA and hopefully around the country now are like, what the conversation I had with my wife and my kids is like, we said, well, if this happens to us, we're in Porter Ranch, we're in the valley, we're further away. We saw a lot, but we weren't threatened by it, thank God. And we were like, what would you take? What would you take? Asking my sons, Gray, what would you
Mm,
take? And then Bo, what would you
mm,
take? And then,
mm.
Max 3. So I don't know what he'd bring, but like, but there is that thing of like, of what do you pack, eh, like, what
But I do
we
want to
said,
say,
the
I do
kids'
want
teeth and stuff like that. Like, that's the
to,
stuff that's like, oh my gosh, is there a way that you haven't been back yet? Like, when are they going to allow
we,
you to go there
we
and
don't
sift
know.
through
You
it?
see, this is the other thing. I've seen video, and we had a fountain we call Cosette. We've had her for 25 years, and a nice in front of our house, and she's there. But I don't know if looters have gotten it. We have pots that we want to save everything we have.
Yeah.
Metal pot. We had a beautiful garden, a really lush garden. That's my husband. He was growing from seed, lettuce to, I mean, just we had a vegetable box, a flower box. I mean, we really put our heart and soul into the garden that was so important to us. So there are pots around. I mean, even in my fireplace mantle, there's this urn that I secured when I was in France. So will it still be there? I don't know. I have no word about when I can get in my house.
Can't.
Now there's an issue of debris. Are we going to be responsible for the removal of the debris, getting our own things you don't even think about? We have a car we have to remove that we can handle through the insurance company. But here we have the debris. We also, what are we going to have to pay for the dumpster, debris removal? It's highly toxic. So right now, I know absolutely nothing. No one has informed us. And anyone who's gone in is through police escorts.
Yeah, I went down there on Saturday. I just wanted to see if I could get close. I didn't know with my sons because I want them to have a memory of like what this looks like and what it looks like to be impacted. Because, like I said, like we weren't the way that you were. And the National Guard was there, the sheriff's department was there. They're like, no, we're not even letting residents in. I was like, why? They're like, oh, because of looters. I was like, is that serious? They're like, it's bad. Like, we just caught 2 guys 10 minutes ago. Like, there's like, it's I guess I don't know how much is being reported on now in the news, but apparently it's a real thing of these opportunists going up there on
Mm,
motorbikes and whatnot to just
yeah.
because it was areas of this where a wealthy community, so it's like
Yes.
this opportunity to like just grab
Yes.
what you
Yes.
can. It's so terrible. When you said about the community who's reached out to you though, there's a book that I give that's required reading for my civics class. It's called Tribe by Sebastian Younger. He talks about soldiers and people. And
Mm,
one of the lines from that really hit me was, things were better when they were bad. And what he means by that is, during times of crisis, the way that we lean on each other is something that's been lost a lot in like the modern
mhm,
day of like leaning on your
mm,
neighbors. It sounds like you had that, but a lot of people don't. But that reliance on people coming together and being soft and being
yes.
unified, you don't care who people voted for, you don't care about all this little
Yes.
stuff. It's like what really matters. There is something beautiful. There are beautiful moments, I'm sure, to be found right now, but it's so hard, I'm sure, to see it because you're overwhelmed with thinking about that one drawing that Sophia
Mm,
did when
yeah,
she was 7 years
yeah,
old that you kept in this
yeah.
place. And that's, you can't, you can't get that back. I don't know how to really wrestle with that. It's just so challenging.
Right. And it's almost like, and I do, and also like in terms of rallying around, it's the community outside, it's through activities that we've been able to connect. And it's been very touching. And to me, just the kindness that a lot of people have shown, the kindness and the generosity,
Yeah.
and just pulling together resources from every angle. So that part, that is the silver lining in a
Yeah.
very deep, deep way. Humanity is just, they've been there for us. So
Yeah.
that is touched my heart deeply. How will I grapple with those things never reoccurring, or just the memory of the loss? And it is like PTSD. You remember it. And I remember exactly where it is in the house. And why didn't I just grab that box? Why didn't I grab that box and run? But then
Uh,
again, it's a situation of space. So it's a situation, do I stay as a unit in one car, or do I take two cars and worry more about my stuff?
yeah.
And with all the chaos going on, the best thing we could do is stay together as a unit.
Yeah.
It's dark, explosions, and that's what I remind myself. Those things are memories. I don't know how I'm going to process all this. My whole family, we're broken. I will be broken forever. I'm very strong. We're a very strong family, but I'm broken forever. So if someone say you can buy new things, I appreciate it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I was happy with the life that I had created that I'll never have again. So if someone offered me a fancy car, a beautiful designer bag, thousands of dollar cashmere, I want my home back. I don't want. So the GoFundMe page that we started was to try to build something new as a family. And now I'll be building memories with my adult children. So that part is with me inside my heart, but I don't have anything tangible to witness that time in their lives. And you have three small children, so you can really relate to what I'm saying. I it's not, I don't have anything tangible other than in my memory. And it's just so, I can't even tell you how
Yeah.
heart-wrenching. And I want my home back. I don't want to be going somewhere else. It's like we managed to secure a lease and somebody was saying, I'm not starting over. I didn't choose this. I did not choose to move. I did not choose to leave my community. It was basically like the rug was pulled under
Yeah.
you and you've got to adapt now. And the only thing is collective grieving. It's collective grieving. And that part it is consoling that we are collectively grieving of the
Yeah, and those
loss.
the things aren't mutually exclusive. Like you can recognize like thank God that we're safe, like we're okay. We didn't lose our lives, we didn't lose our
Yes.
pets, and mourn those things. It's not those things can hold space at the same time. And I think that's really
Yes.
important to like, it doesn't mean that you're not grateful for being safe and your family surviving and things like, of course, yes,
Yes.
yes. And like you have a right to mourn these things. And I think it's an
Yes.
important process in human beings to mourn things. I taught at a
Yes.
at a Jewish school for many years, and they do something called sitting Shiva. When someone dies,
Mm,
they
mm,
draw the shades, and they don't bathe,
mm,
they don't cook, they don't listen to music, they just mourn, they just weep. When someone who is your spouse, your child, or your parent dies, you just are
mm,
forced to just
mm.
mourn, and the community comes and does those things for you because they recognized, thousands of years ago how important it is to mourn. So I think this time is important for you and your family to mourn, to really cry about this
Yeah.
and process it, because you don't want to repress that or anything.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Well,
one of the things,
that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this conversation
yeah,
with you,
yeah,
because
which I appreciate.
it's everyone collectively, we can grieve over this.
Yeah,
And like I said, that's why we did the GoFund page. We're broken. We're
yeah,
broken. We'll get through this. We'll forge ahead. But the memory, the loss, it's gut wrenching. It's gut wrenching. So I like that tradition in the Jewish faith
yeah,
because I think that's really important to stop.
yeah,
But unfortunately, bills have to be paid. You have to find a place to live. You have to get to school. You have to get to work. Eh, This is the challenging part. It's not like, okay, now you've lost everything, but are you going to get that report done? Are you showing up to work? You have
Yeah.
class to go to, you have commitments to go to.
Right.
How long is it? I haven't even seen my home. How long is society going to say, oh, the wildfire? So you're a victim of that. You lost everything.
Mhm.
And therefore, I can't turn in my home, or I can't turn in my project, or I can't talk to the boss, or I can't talk to a client. It's a very tricky question.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. A former student of mine is a firefighter, and he was talking about some of the things that you were talking about, which is how unfunded and underfunded the fire department is. He was a wildfire fighter for a while. He graduated a long time ago, like 2008. And so he's been in it for a while, but he talks about how they're still using equipment from the 1960s. He was talking about how just the some of the firefighters sleep in their cars, they sleep in these barracks when they're on the job. Like there's just no money going to that. And you think we're in California, we're in we're taxed at an extremely high rate, the
Yes,
most taxed
yes,
state. Like,
yes.
what is going on that this is happening? I mean, did you did you know, like I did a podcast before, just kind of my breakdown of this. And I was like, this area was a tinderbox. It was just waiting to go up. Like, so did you think about, was that like, was that on the forefront of your mind of this even
No,
being
and
a
I'll tell you the
possibility?
reason being
Yeah.
because we lived in the flats.
Yeah.
Okay, in the
It was just a
highlands.
neighborhood. Essentially, people don't know. It was like what you see on like, 1950s, like Leave It to Beaver or something. It looked like that. It was like a nice little neighborhood, white picket fences and stuff like that. It wasn't in the middle of the woods, which some of that stuff
No,
is, but
no,
like,
but
up
we
the
were
hills
not.
and stuff.
We were
You guys
no.
weren't.
It when and the fact that Gelson's burned and Ralph's Market and the library. Are you telling that's in the forest? I mean,
Yeah.
Gelson's, and that's on Via de la Paz and Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
That's the part. So it's not that I was in a forest and
Right.
I allowed overgrowth. I mean, I did the trimming of the trees, whatever the fire department said, we abided by those rules. So it's not like we were leaving paint and fumes around. It was
Mhm.
just no one was there to help us. No one. No one came to our street. There was no fire retardant. I know they had a lot of work to do on that end with the Highlands, but I was most upsetting is that this information is not gone out. I pay the taxes, I did everything right,
Yeah.
and you want to believe that your city is going to provide in a situation like knowing that this is a fire zone. That's why they canceled a lot of fire insurances. But
Mhm.
you want to at least believe that that part of the component is being handled. And now to find out it wasn't. It wasn't. It's heart wrenching. If you would have told me, I would have sprayed my entire house with fire retardant.
Right.
I mean, I would have stayed with a garden hose and my husband, but that leaves us with your life or your
Right.
house.
Right.
So if we didn't get out of that moment, who's to say? Or going back to get my things, those few memory, those boxes that now haunt me. But you want to trust the government. You want to trust your community. You want to trust the governor, the mayor is watching over us in the Palisades. I mean, this is a booming area,
Yeah.
contributing so
Right.
much wealth to the city of LA. It's a go-to destination. People are coming from all over Malibu, Pacific Palisades. They want to see these areas. They want to see the sunset. They want to go to the beach of Southern California.
Yeah.
And to think that that wasn't protected, that an entire community was obliterated once
Monique.
again is
Yeah.
inexcusable to me. It just, I can't even tell you. I have to contain myself because I've suffered such a loss. And I
Yeah.
just don't want this to happen to anyone else. I mean,
Right.
I really feel like we have to see once a year, lay out the equipment. I would say, Porter Ranch, what's going on with your fire department?
Yeah.
When was the last time things were updated? Do we have to start asking this now as private
I think
citizens?
so.
Is that what's expected of us? Start raising these questions constantly? Oh, so when was that equipment raised? Oh, what's the forestry management? Who's handling that? Who's not handling it? What decisions are being made on our behalf? These propositions. What's going on here? It's
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you bring up a good point, because there could be the narrative that if this was a low income area, it's just that the government doesn't care about them. But it's far bigger than that. It's like it would actually just like take like all the heart and soul out of it, just from like a fiscal responsibility standpoint. you got to keep these people happy. These people are the
Yes.
biggest contributors that can that to like the social safety nets and stuff that we have in a state like California.
And
So
also to remember, the Palisades also employed, this is what people don't understand. They employed the gardener, service providers that are now out of work. I mean, there was a
oh
guy at
yeah,
Cafe Vita. He's been there 30 years. So now it's impacted all the communities because every day there were people coming into service, whether someone to clean the car, clean the windows, someone to clean your house, to do the gardening. I mean, that impacts it snowballs into so many different areas. And that's what we don't understand, besides all the revenue, all the high taxes we were paying, tax, property tax. And all those people now, I see it on the thread. Oh, a housekeeper looking for work. A gardener needs this person, whether it's FedEx, UPS, the gardener we've known for 30 years.
yeah,
I can't offer him a job now.
right.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's something that people don't understand because I've heard some really disgusting things just online about like, well, they're wealthy, they'll be fine. It's like you don't understand. First of
Mhm.
all, that's gross and that's dehumanizing. That's
Yes,
just number
yes,
one. But
yes,
besides that, is wealthy people employ. So yes, there's like the gardeners and the housekeepers and stuff, but there's also like they own businesses. They own those
correct.
businesses, and then I mean, have you talked to your neighbors and people in the community? Are they contemplating leaving California?
Yes, what has happened now, well, pretty much what's happening now is there's a big percentage that are leaving LA. So that's going to affect the LA tax base. They're going to
Oh,
Hermosa Beach, they're going to Orange County, they're
mhm,
going to Santa Barbara. So
mhm,
there's a lot of that. People have homes in the desert, so they're going over there. So
mhm.
people are, and then if you have small children, you're forced to stay. Otherwise, they're moving. There's something on the thread about, oh, there's a place in Las Vegas available. So to answer your question, it's
Yeah,
widening where people are going to be going. So they will be leaving California. And that's a good question about, would you come back to California to rebuild with this high tax state that
yeah,
we have? And then this is a result of it. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to get fire insurance again after
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
I've
maybe
never used
not.
insurance in my life. Thank God I've never
Yeah,
had to. But
yeah,
now how is this going to affect just the basic city, the tax bases of California, the revenue that they were collecting? How are they going to, because now it's going to Santa Barbara, now it's going to Palm Springs,
mhm.
now it's going to the desert, Las Vegas, Orange County. So how is that going to affect all of us?
Oh my gosh. What can people do? There's probably people listening who just feel helpless. I had several people reach out. They said, "Do you know a charity that will actually get it to the people?" And my church, Freedom Church here in Chatsworth, is great, and they get it right to directly to the people and stuff. Like, what can people do who feel like they are helpless? How can they get in touch? What is I'm going to put your specific family's GoFundMe in the show notes because this is a way to help you guys just get the basics that you need to just get on your feet, to have a roof over your head, literally, to try and build some sort of life. And I think that there's enough people that hear your story and want to contribute, just what they can. The economy isn't great for a lot of people, but I
No.
think I think the same way with taxes. I think people, it's not that they don't want to pay taxes, they just don't trust where it goes. And here's a perfect example.
Yes.
I don't want my
Yes. Yes.
taxpayer dollars going to pay for war or something. I
Yes.
do want it to go to fire hydrants that work,
Yeah. Well,
and
one thing
that's
I
why they don't
noticed,
pay taxes. Yeah.
I know one thing that I found to be very helpful was when we went to the place on Montana. So someone who has a store turns it in for a week
Mhm.
where they're able to remove some items or push them back in the storage area. And then they post it on social media. Hey guys, I'm doing this for the relief
Yeah.
victims. And then this is what we need, whether it's crayons, diapers, clothing, chargers for the phone, water. So basically, there's a list. And then the kindness, people can go in there, they can get the hug, they can be with other people who have experienced this. So if you had a business that you could turn into for a few days, a pop-up of where people, and you could meet the people, you could actually, hey Monique, I'm so sorry you lost this, or thank you Carrie, thank you Jenny, like a name, not just going there and picking up a box of something that really another family could use, that maybe it wouldn't work for my family. I don't need certain items, but I can go in and see like along the wall, like what they'd set up was women's clothes, size medium, like, just workout stuff, batteries, chargers. So it was done in boxes and they were bags, and it's hard to believe. But what was very valuable too was actually suitcases. Like my
Yeah.
daughter has to go back to Berkeley, something that to get back on the plane. And you think you can go buy it. We've been to so many stores, and the stores here, because of all the theft in Santa Monica, this that, the inventory. So plus it's after the holidays. So
Yeah.
it's very low inventory. And a lot of people have an extra suitcase, an extra backpack, a set of crayons, paper clip, just something where you have to organize your files for the insurance company or whatever you have to do, or keep track of who you're calling. You can only do so much on your phone. So I found that to be, because then it's like in Santa Monica, it's Venice, it's areas that are accessible, they're closer to where a lot of people have been impacted. That I found that to be very helpful, where it was real people, seeing people drop things off. It was like a revolving door, and she did it for about a week. And just we went there 3 times, and then we came, took some things back, and didn't really work, was too big, so we
Mhm.
returned it. So we kept like, let someone else use it. It's this whole idea of let someone else use it. And I
Yeah.
found that to be extremely helpful. I found that to be very helpful.
Yeah, these events really bring out the best and worst of society, like the looting, like the worst of society, taking advantage of people who lost it all and are devastated. But then it brings out the best in the people. Like you said, that woman at the store in Montana, or the people who are contributing to your GoFundMe and things like that. I think
Exactly. And
the
part of
real
the
testament of
GoFundMe,
humanity.
right, and the GoFundMe pages, you have to think about it. We're talking about families who are starting with nothing. It's like something so simple as, okay, I need to get some forks. Let's say
Yeah.
you don't want to just silverware. Let's say just so you can have a table to have another family meal, to try to create new memories now. Everything that you lost. I mean, something so basic as a table, a chair, silverware, coffee cups, a coffee maker, things that we take for granted every day, things that you just would overlook, besides the monuments that you've lost that you'll never get back. So I just found that to be where it was more, you go to a local place, you're getting the local support. For us, I found that to be extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Human element of this. Um, Thank you for sharing your story, Monique. It's got to be incredibly hard for you. I appreciate it. I appreciate, it takes some courage to be able to like, push your way through this, telling this story. And I think that's what people resonate with. And I think it's again, it's like, what can we pull from these
Mm.
tragedies is learning opportunities for all of us about, not trusting that someone will always be there to save you, like the trusting the government,
Yeah.
also like, what would you do in this situation? Also appreciating the little things that you have,
Yes.
like all
Yes.
of that stuff. There can be, I'm an educator. So it's always like learning opportunities in everything you do. And I think there's a lot here, and you're learning them the absolute hardest way. But
And
with the
one thing I will say, they've talked a lot about the buzzwords vulnerability. I will say that having experienced this and being vulnerable with people at this point is, in a deep way, does really feed my soul. Like just
Mm,
being able to connect in a very vulnerable way, because when you're used to everything is perfect, put it in a box, this looks good, don't cry, don't show you have any emotions, just kind of, hey, I roll with it, I got it.
yeah,
And to say no, it's not fine, I've lost my home, to really, good, how you doing, good, good. It's like, no, it's not good.
no,
Yes, I'm grateful to be alive, I'm grateful my family survived, but when you put it, that I would say is a silver lining, is connecting with people on a very core deep level at your most vulnerable. And that's what I would say, the kindness that we received as a family has been so touching. So that's
yeah.
what I want to end with.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming on here. For those listeners out there, you can look in the show notes for the GoFundMe. Hopefully, this animates you to get involved in some way, to plan for things that could happen that you didn't foresee, but also to contribute to helping others who have lost everything, and you can be a part of some positive change for everyone who's lost everything. Monique, it was really nice to meet you. I wish there was better
Yes.
circumstances,
Same
you
here.
know.
Hopefully, I'll meet you in a better
But
situation
yeah,
when, yes,
yeah,
yes. So,
I
anything
hope
else
so.
I can do, any more comments, anything I
Yeah,
can do to help? We're all collectively grieving. We've all lost. We're all in this together. So, anything, just keep me, let's stay in touch.
absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope this was informative. Take care.